Good morning, lovely people. I'll just wait for a few moments and see who comes on. Good morning, live your best life, you. Yes. How are you? Just give me a second. I'm going to broadcast on Facebook as well, so I don't have to do 2 lives, and I'll just wait for a few people to come on. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'll just say that I've only had 1 coffee. I normally need 2 to get my brain started. So my brain might be a little bit slow, but I'll get there. Okay, so I just thought I'd start these lives for Q&A, for live Q&A. I don't know if you guys have heard, I was banned from IGTV and banned from posting and liking on Instagram, but the lives still seem to work. So I just thought I'd hop on and do some Q&A. So if you have any questions on healing, on trauma, on my work, on healing emotional wounds, feel free to comment below so that I can answer them. Hi Leanne, if that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry if it's wrong. Good morning. Well, good afternoon or good evening. Depends on where you are in the world, right? Okay, so this is not working. Yeah. Oh, okay. It is. It does seem to be working. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. I'm just having my 2nd coffee because I need 2 to get started in the morning. Hi Jordan, good morning. And I think I'm live on Facebook as well, and if I am, then I can get started. I've got some questions already that I want to answer. Yeah, it looks like I am live on both. So I'll be checking between both. Hi, yoga lover, body, mind, soul. Good morning. Oh, it's Heidi. Hi, Heidi. Hi, Esra. Good morning. I missed the group. I missed my movement crew. So if you guys have any questions, please comment below. I have 2 that I'm going to answer, but if you have any questions on healing emotional wounds, on trauma, on how to process emotions, that's what I'm here for. I've only had 1 coffee though, so my brain might be a little bit slow. Okay, yeah, I'm live. Good. So for what I wanted to start with is, hi, Angel Gabriel, is healing. So someone asked a little while ago to share a little more about healing. Hi, Chirby Fool, if that's how you say it. What I wanted to share is that if you've been following me for a while, you will know that I personally believe that healing emotional wounds is the key to everything. I was laughing yesterday after I finished the live because I was thinking to myself, my answer to everything is heal emotional wounds. But I thought I'd explain a little bit more about healing. So basically someone was saying, where does nutrition come into this? Where does, medicine and maybe, disease and surgery come into it? So basically, healing on a soul level requires emotion, and you have to process your emotions to truly heal on a soul level. This is what I believe. And in terms of breaking the pattern and really healing, it has to be emotionally. However, obviously nutrition helps a lot, and it supports your body and healing, especially when it comes to disease and things like that, and illnesses. However, I believe, this is just my belief, that in terms of nutrition and medicine, you're really just suppressing the emotion, because you can get a relief, but you're still avoiding looking at the cause, which is always emotional. It is an emotional wound. Guys, by the way, if you have any questions, please feel free to comment below. I am just rambling on about healing and answering a few questions that I've received in the past. So basically, when it comes to healing illness and disease, what I have found is, I've just seen that people can't see me on Facebook because of the lighting. There's not really much I can do right now. Anyway, so when it comes to healing disease and illness, so your body regenerates every 7 years. So every 7 years, every single cell of your body is completely different. You're actually a new person. And so that's why sometimes when you heal on an emotional level, it can take the body up to 7 years to fully heal physically. Because we are here in the dimension of time. So your physical body needs time to heal. I remember working with a client who, she had lupus, and she had a lot of grief that we worked. What is your take on healing in plant medicine? I can share that after. I've had lots of experiences with that. So we healed on the emotional level, but it took 8 months roughly for her body to catch up on the physical healing. And depending on the system that is affected, with the disease or the illness, it can take up to 7 years for your body to fully heal, let's say. But on a soul level, if you've done the work emotionally, you are already healed. Does that make sense? I hope that does. Because your body needs time to heal, and it really depends on the system. I don't know at the top of my head all the time with all the different systems, but just to give you an example, I know that the skin regenerates, for example, every 3 weeks. So that's why sometimes when you heal on an emotional level, it actually takes time for your physical body to catch up, if that makes sense. So that's one. Of course, I'm not saying, don't take medication and don't use nutrition. Do whatever you need to in order to support your body, especially with nutrition. I'm big into supplements. I take loads of supplements every day. And also, if you need surgery and it's an emergency, of course, take medication and do that. But I honestly believe that the real core healing is emotional on a soul level. And that's the only way that you're going to heal on the soul level. And someone asked about triggers as well, but I can get into that after. I'll answer the healing and plant medicine. So I have had many ayahuasca ceremonies. I've also done Kambo, and those are the two main plant medicine, mainly ayahuasca. And it's a tricky one because I see now that it's not really being used. I feel people are misusing it basically, and people are using plant medicine as a way to get away from really dealing with the emotional pain. And what I found is ayahuasca really, it changed my life because it really made me see what I need to work on, and it helped me to see patterns that I wasn't able to see with my own little wounded ego, because ayahuasca is an amplifier. So it can really help you see. For example, and my first ayahuasca experience was, I think it was about 10 years ago now, and at that time I had already been on the journey for almost 10 years, and I thought that I was super positive, and I thought that I was on the journey. I was like meditating and doing all this stuff, and I really thought I was positive. But when I did my first ayahuasca experience, what happened was I started to hear a lot of negative thoughts, and I didn't understand where it was coming from. And I had a moment, I basically realized that this was my own negative thoughts, and it was horrible. It helped me to see things that I wasn't able to see in my normal, let's say, consciousness. So in that sense, it really did help. but I will say that I still had to do the work after. So I was shown a lot of things that I had to work on, which was basically all childhood trauma, which I didn't want to see. I didn't want to feel. I was aware of it, but I didn't really want to process the emotional pain. So in terms of with anything really, even with energy healing or plant medicine, whatever it is that you're doing, you really need to look at your reason why you're doing it. So a lot of people are doing it to avoid actually doing the work and to just go and have a trip or and check out and disassociate from reality. And yeah, this is tricky. You need to have a really good shaman. I go to Spirit Vine in Brazil. That's because that's where I'm from. I'm from Salvador, and it's literally 5 hours from my place in Salvador. And yeah, so I'm not sure if you have any specific questions about plant medicine. I'm more than happy to share more. But what I see is a lot of people going to do ayahuasca or iboga or plant medicine and basically not healing, and coming back and still staying stuck in patterns and wondering why, because they're giving their power away to something outside of themselves, and they want something outside of themselves to heal them. I'm not sure if this is making sense. You can use it as a tool to help you look inside, but that's not going to save you. That's not going to change your pattern. What's going to really change your pattern is to really do the inner emotional work. Does that make sense? Absolutely on point. I'm going through that with my wife. Okay, good. She's now releasing all the negative energy out. Yeah, make sure not just releasing it. Like, to me, it's processing emotions. That is the key, because I spent 10 years doing ayahuasca, doing energy healing, doing everything out there, but not processing the emotion. And it was only when I started to process the emotion from all the traumas and stuff that my pattern started to change, and my awareness started to change and shift and all of that. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah, do you have any other questions or any clarification? If you do, feel free to comment below. Prague Papa, good morning. Well, good afternoon or good evening, wherever you are. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people misuse plant medicine nowadays. So next, what I wanted to share is about triggers, because I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about triggers. And very often when you get triggered, it's anger, right? You get angry. And what you need to understand is the trigger is within you. How can we purposely process emotions? Do you have to wait to be triggered? Absolutely not. And this is what I talk about in the heart prayers. I don't know if you've seen my video on praying from the heart, and this is what I talk about all the time. You need to have a desire. I actually wrote a blog called How to Access and Process Core Emotional Wounds. It's on my website. You can check it out. And this is what I'm doing now. This is actually the only technique that I use right now for myself. This is about using your heart. And using your desire muscle and your will, and this is not forced. Yeah, so you have to have a desire to feel, and most people don't have a desire to feel because it's painful. Most of the emotions that they need to process is horrible, it's painful, it hurts, so they resist it basically, and they don't want to feel that. And then you have this conflict of intellectually, you know that you need to process this emotion, but on a heart level, emotionally, you don't want to do that. So this is really about you connecting to your heart and praying from your heart. This is what I do. I pray from my heart, and it's an emotional desire to feel. And I was speaking to someone else actually on chat the other day, and they were saying that they were resisting forgiving. So you need to start where you are, basically. So if you're resisting, that's okay. Hi, Krishi. Good morning. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Do you have to? So basically, the trigger, when you're triggered, this is the perfect time for you to feel your emotions, because it's, right there. But what tends to happen is once that trigger is gone, we push it down. So in terms of intentionally processing emotions, you need to connect to your heart and use your will. And this is an emotional desire that you set from your heart. It's a feeling that you set from your heart. Hi, Layla. Good morning. So I hope that makes sense. And what tends to happen is you'll have to go through the layers. So a lot of people just want to skip the top layers and get to the grief, because they know that they have grief down there, and they don't want to feel or process, let's say, the anger or the fear, because who wants to feel anger and fear, right? But you, in terms of really processing the emotional wound, you have to go through the layers, because the top layers is the emotion you are using to avoid the core. It's the emotion you use to justify not feeling the causal emotion. So you need to feel the anger, let's say. Anger is often the top layer. And go through all of your justifications of why you're using anger to defend that wound. Yeah? So you'll need to feel and desire to feel it and own it rather than project it. And then very often what happens, at least for me, I find that there's always fear just before the deep core wounds. And then you'll have to process the fear of it and know that this is just an emotion. And through this process, you desire your way through it. Does that make sense? I just want to see Hector. Does that make sense? I'm not sure if I'm making sense. And the process of desiring your way through this, through processing your emotions, is through the heart. It's an emotion. It's not an intellectual desire or thought. It's an emotion that emanates from your heart. Yeah? Okay, good. Have a read of my blog. I explain it there. This is all I use. And if you're feeling stuck, that's where you start. If you're resistant, say like, I'm totally resisting. You start by being honest with yourself about where you are. Yeah? And you have a right to resist. You have a right to be angry and all of that. But just understand that obviously projecting it is, to me, this is something I've not shared before, but I believe that projecting your emotions, especially intentionally, is emotional abuse, which a lot of people don't understand, because they feel so justified in their anger and their hurt that they project. And when you do that, that's actually, emotionally abusive. That's just what I feel. But yeah, so work on your heart desire to feel and to process and to go through that. Hi Nikki, good morning. I don't know where everyone is. I'm saying good morning because it's morning here where I am. So yeah, have a read of the blog, and it's also on the, I did a video called How to Pray from Your Heart, and that is the only thing that I use now in terms of my own processing. And you will find that when you really set this intention from your heart, for me personally, I will start grieving straight away. I will start crying when it's really sincere, basically, and you'll start having, realizations and start getting to the core immediately when your desire is sincere. When it's not sincere, then you will struggle, you'll get frustrated, it'll feel heavy, and sometimes that still happens to me sometimes, and when that happens, then I'll journal. And I'll journal about how I feel right now, like I'm angry, I can't accept this, or whatever it is. Hi Shaz, good morning. If you guys have any questions, feel free to comment below, and I will answer them on emotional healing emotional wounds, trauma. But yeah, going back to the triggers, which you mentioned about, do you have to be triggered? No, you don't have to be triggered, but what you need to understand is that the trigger itself is showing you exactly what you need to work on. Sometimes it's hard to distinguish if my desire is sincere or if it's my ego or fear. Yeah, that's a good one. And you will learn the more that you set these desires. And how you will know if it's sincere is based on your law of attraction. So very often when we set a desire and we get sort of what we don't want, that is a reflection of two things. One, what you need to heal within yourself. And two, whether it was sincere or not, if that makes sense. And in terms of fear, I mean, it's a tricky one because, you know, sometimes what we desire is outside of our comfort zone. And anything that's outside of our comfort zone is the unknown. So it's natural that we, you know, fear it, for example. But really what you desire in terms of on a soul level should excite you. It should feel lighter. You should feel passionate and like, you know, you just want to do it or want to attract this because it's in your heart. It's your heart calling. You love it. If it's ego or fear-based, then obviously things will come up for you to work on. I hope that makes sense a little bit. But really, the more that you set these intentions and basically living your life and the feedback that you get, you will start to understand. And also, what I found, at least for me, and this is when I discovered these heart prayers, like the quality of your desire, I don't know how to explain this, because I discovered these heart prayers when I was in a black hole, as I call it, and I was desperate, and I just wanted to heal this, and I remember praying and saying, God, I will do whatever it takes. And I really meant it. I meant it from my heart. And what it took was to grieve for 3 weeks, non-stop. And I did. And that's what it took. And I did it and I felt lighter. But the energy of your desire, you will feel it. And even when you don't get what you want in terms of feedback and you reflect upon your heart prayer, you will see, actually, yeah, it was really a victim desire. It was an ego desire. It wasn't really from my heart. I'm actually not ready to take responsibility or do whatever it takes, if that makes sense. Hi Yasmin, good morning. Let's have a sip of my coffee. Yeah, so going back to the triggers, if anyone has any questions, feel free to comment below. Actually, there's one here that I don't know how to do this. What's your view on negative relationship patterns? Okay, and how do you change negative patterns and how to find what are the emotions you need to heal? Okay, so negative relationship patterns, I believe that all negative relationship patterns stems from childhood wounding. And it's based on the relationship that you had from your parents, that you have from your parents. And I find that a lot of people are in denial about it. Would you please save, sorry, 1 second. Would you please save this at work now? Can't concentrate. I've been banned from IGTV and I've been banned from posting. Yesterday I wasn't able to save it. I'll see if I can download it today and save it and post it on YouTube. But yeah, I'm not allowed to post on Instagram, but at least the live is working. Okay, so what's your view on negative relationship patterns? So yeah, so all negative relationship patterns stems from childhood. So in terms of breaking negative relationship patterns, you need to work on your inner childhood wounding, childhood traumas, the relationship that you had with your parents as a child, how you feel about your mom, how you feel about your dad, and your childhood experiences. That is like key. From my experience. And two, you mentioned how do you change negative patterns and how to find what are the emotions you need to heal. So firstly, you need to look at the pattern, because obviously there's a pattern, and what will happen is there is an emotion that is being repeated. Like the people can change, the circumstances can change, but the emotion is what is repeated. So let's say you were, I don't know, didn't feel loved, and you had an emotionally unavailable father. So you will always attract, not always, but you will always tend to attract men who are emotionally unavailable, and you'll be trying to, feel loved basically. But what you're really trying to do is feel loved from your father. You're trying to heal that pattern in this relationship, which is impossible. So it's really about you noticing what is the emotional pattern, noticing all of your triggers. And also what I find, like a lot of the times with relationship patterns, is people want the other person to change. And when you get angry, you're getting angry because there is a need that was not met in childhood. And that need that was not met is being projected onto the other person. And when your childhood need is not met, then you get angry. And I'm not saying that, I'm not saying to accept abuse and all of that. That's not what I'm saying. All I'm saying is if you are being triggered, the emotion is within you. And the only person that you can change is yourself. You can't change anyone else. So even if the person is being abusive, okay, you need to take steps for that. But in terms of you changing your pattern, you need to work on that trigger. So let's say you have a need to be heard because you were never heard. You were allowed to be seen and not heard, for example. Then you need to basically grieve the fact that, maybe your parents never heard you, never listened to you. So even though the pattern is being reflected in that adult relationship, the core is always in childhood. This has just been my experience. And until you go back and do the inner child work, and heal at that causal level and grieve, all of that, then nothing's going to change. What do you do with all the anger when I can't change them, obviously? Firstly, you need to own that anger, which is hard, I know, and get it out. I often tell my clients to go into the desert and just fucking scream. And scream until you can't scream anymore, until you feel this energy shift, or go to a boxing class, or punch pillows, whatever it is. But just be aware that in the moment of processing that anger, that you're owning it, that you're not projecting it. Because if you're projecting it, then you're not going to be able to process the anger and get to the causal emotion. So you need to understand that anger is yours. It's within you, even though they are making you angry, and I totally get it. The anger is within you, so you need to own it. You can journal about it first. You will not be able to process the grief if you don't first break down the anger. And write down all of the reasons why you get angry. Write down your justification. Sorry, those are the dogs making noise. Write down all of your justification of holding on to the anger. And very often we hold on to the anger because we want to feel powerful. The wound, the actual wound, makes us feel vulnerable and powerless and helpless and all of that. So the anger is just a cover-up. It's a false sense of power, basically, if that makes sense. How to process feelings of shame. Ooh, shame is a horrible one. I've really struggled with processing shame. I was chatting to someone not long ago, and I said to them, processing anger I can deal with, processing fear, terror, but shame has been a very challenging one. And it's really about, two things. One, you have to there's a lot of emotions that were projected onto you that are actually not yours. So most of it is not even yours, and you can't process emotions that is not yours. So you need to distinguish between what is really yours, what you have internalized and made mean about you, or what you have taken on. So you need to separate that and give back the emotions that is not yours. And second, with shame, it's really about self-love and compassion. Because these parts of you are wounded. And you need to just hold that part of you and I pray, basically. When I process anything, I pray, I connect to God and my guides, and I pray for my heart. And with shame, for me, it's really about feeling more love and compassion for those parts of you. Because if you were wounded, you were programmed to blame yourself, to shame yourself, to put yourself down. I would I'm not sure if you can. I mean, I can give you loads of ideas to do. Some of the things that I've done is written love letters to myself and looked myself in the eye and read it to them, and crying while I'm doing it. Or just literally holding myself and having the intention in my heart to have compassion for those wounded parts of me, and doing my best to not to judge those parts of me, because by doing that I'm just abusing myself, right? Only Color Girl, good morning. Sorry, I don't know if I finished answering your question, Leanne, if that's how you pronounce your name. Sorry, what was the other thing that you said? How to find what are the emotions that you need to heal. Yeah, there will be many emotions that you need to heal. But what I find is people are not able to get to the core. They don't know how to process emotions at the causal level. Things like, feeling worthless, shame and guilt and all of that, these are not really the causal emotion. And if you're trying to process them in the sense of trying to feel your way through them, it's not going to help you to access the core. The core is always grief, from my experience. But it's just learning how to go through, let's say, the top layer, which is anger, then accessing the fear, then the grief, for example. Don't know if that helps. Okay, thank you. Hi, Louise. Good morning. Okay, so going back to the triggers, if anyone has any other questions, feel free to comment. I hope I'm making sense, because I've not finished my second coffee yet and my brain needs to be kickstarted in the morning. Okay, so triggers. So triggers are your law of attraction, basically, and it's telling you exactly what you need to work on. Very often we feel justified in our triggers, whatever the emotion is when you're triggered, that is the emotion that you need to feel. And very often when we're triggered, we project it immediately. And when you're triggered, very often it's anger, you are refusing to change, and you want the other person to change. And you feel so justified in that. And also what I find is that you are refusing to accept the truth. Basically, that's all it is. So with regards to triggered, no matter, and this is a tough one, it's about you feeling that trigger and owning it, no matter what's going on. And once you choose to be humble, because this requires humility, and you really need to have a sincere desire to heal and to see yourself. Once you really have this attitude and this desire, you will own it and you will feel it, and you will go through the process very quickly. Like the top layers can be processed very quickly if you have a sincere desire to heal and to see yourself and to own these emotions. So yeah, that is it for today. Does anyone have any questions, or if you want any clarification? And I'd love to know where everyone is based, actually. I don't know where anyone is in the world. I know, Louise, you're in the US. I know a few people are here in Dubai. Esra's here. But I'd love to know where everyone is based. Let me see on Facebook if anyone has any comments. Dubai. Oh, you're in Dubai. Nice. Have we met before? Iran. Oh, nice. Oh, you're also in the Middle East. California. Cool. Didn't realize you were in Iran, Nikki. Okay, so no questions on Facebook. Am I making sense, or do I need more coffee? And by the way, I have a healing emotional wounds program on my website. I talk you through everything the way that I do it, using the heart muscle and using this desire muscle, which is what I'm sort of working on right now, because from what I understand now is that is the true power of your soul. And I don't think people understand that. The true power of your soul is your desire. It's your desire. And it comes from your heart. It's an emotion. And this is exciting, because to me, like, you don't need anything out there. You don't need sage or crystals, or you don't need anything out there or any sort of tool to heal you. Oh, you're so welcome, Esra. You're so welcome, Leanne. Like, you just need you just need to develop your heart muscle, your desire to heal. Like, to me, this is amazing. You don't need any sort of tool. You just need to develop your heart and your sincerity and humility to feel and to heal, basically, and to see yourself. Because the scariest thing for most people is to see themselves, to see their real soul condition. And that's why people get angry, I guess, and get triggered, because they're living in a little bubble, a little illusion, and once they hear the truth, or they're faced with something like that, it bursts their little bubble. It hurts initially, but it does set you free, the truth. Hi, Tiama, if that's how you spell. Tia Mahar. Okay. So if anyone has any questions, I'm here for just a few more minutes. Otherwise, I'm going to shoot off. I've got a call at 11, which I need to prepare for. Otherwise, I can just ramble on about healing emotional wounds forever. Yeah. Okay, so it looks like there's no more questions. I'll check here. Anger means I don't accept my role on whatever it is. Yeah. And anger, people are so justified in their anger. I know, I've done that before as well. Yeah, you're not accepting the truth of something, whatever it is. So it's about humility, and it's about feeling and owning that anger. And once you do that, and try not to intellectualize it, I find so many people intellectualize, and then that's why they get stuck on processing emotions, because they want to rationalize and intellectualize and not feel. And also, anger is about often a need that was not met in childhood, and so you've projected that need onto whoever it is, and you are almost like demanding that they meet your needs. I'm laughing, but I know that this work is serious. Yeah. Cool. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will be here tomorrow morning as well. I'm going to do these lives since I'm banned. I might as well do these lives and answer some Q&A. if you have any questions, message me, and then I can start tomorrow with answering them. And yeah, have a good day, everyone. Yeah, that's it for today. Bye, guys. Someone just joined. I've just finished lots of Q&A. I'll be doing these more often. Coffee with Mel in the morning. So if you have any questions, feel free to message me or comment below and I'll answer them. I'll be here tomorrow morning as well. You're so welcome, Hector. I hope that helps. I can send you a link to my blog on, I'll message you on Instagram and send you a link to the blog I was mentioning. But yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow morning if you wanted to join me. A few people are joining now. I'll just wait a few more minutes. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I do have to prepare for a call at 11. For those of you who joined, I'm just answering Q&A on healing emotional wounds or trauma or anything like that. Lately, I was struggling with some unpleasant thoughts, but today your words were just in time. Good. And with regard to the thoughts, you know, a lot of people in the New Age healing and the New Age community and all of that have this belief that you can control your thoughts, that you can change your thoughts. I personally don't believe that. I believe that it's the opposite. I believe that it's the emotional wounds that influence your thoughts and your thinking. And this has just been my experience. So once you process a real deep emotional wounds, from my experience, your thoughts will change. Your thought patterns will change. And you won't think that way anymore once the wound is released. However, having said that, through your thoughts, you can actually track what your wound is as well. Yeah, I don't know if you've heard of the morning pages. This is a really good technique that you can use to sort of do like a mind dump. But for the morning pages, you actually have to do it for a good 3 to 6 months. Can you talk about being honest with ourselves all the time and accepting every emotion? Yes, I can. Maybe I can do that tomorrow morning. That is a good one because most people are not honest with themselves, hey? Instead of ignoring them and suppressing them. Yeah, absolutely. Most people don't want to be honest with themselves. And in terms of accepting every emotion, one quality that you need to develop is humility. And actually just sincerity and being sincere and humble. Because if you are humble, you would accept every emotion. And if you're humble, then every emotion and every experience that comes up, you will immediately feel it. And if you're getting angry or triggered or this or that, then you're not being humble. You're not being humble to the truth. That's your wounded ego, like, you know, trying to fight and defend the wound. But yeah, feel free to message me. I'm going to shoot because I have to prepare for a call at 11. I'll be here tomorrow morning. We can have another chat. And I'll have a think about more to share on that. Anyway, that's it, guys. Have a good day. Hope you enjoy that. Bye for now. I'll see if I can save this time.